Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. Hi, Charles.
Hi, Deb. Hi, everybody.
And this topic today is I don't know the name of the conference, so I'm gonna turn it over to Charles. He's gonna tell us about the conference he went to. Was that 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago now?
It was let's see, October 2nd through the 4th, so maybe 2 weeks.
Okay, but you said very exciting. So I'm sitting here. I'm like all ears. It doesn't look like it. It looks like all headphones. But I want I want to hear all about, and I want to see the swag. That sounds great.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll start with the last first, right? So this is the last thing. So the last thing that happened was, um, at the end, I guess they did a drawing, and so there was a drawing for a drone, and so I'm sitting here, and I asked Laurel. I said, Laurel, how would we get a drone home? And we're laughing, and then they call Laurel's number, and so we get this drone, right? So Laurel wins this drone, right
Oh
at the
my!
scene, and so craziest thing happened. So that was just kind of an aside.
Now,
Um,
what is it for a drone? I'm picturing like what is it that I watched? Not Murdoch Mysteries. I always watch these mystery shows and Midsummer Mysteries, and they had like
yeah,
drones flying around delivering pharmaceuticals or something.
yeah. I mean, we have not gone out to fly it yet. We're trying to figure out where we're gonna do that. We don't want to crash it into our neighbor's house or anything, or be
Oops.
hovering outside of their window, right, and have them come out. So yeah, we're gonna go out to the park and learn how to fly this thing, I guess. Um, but yeah, so the conference was sponsorship secrets, and um, Linda Hollander has been at this for a long time, and I first came in contact with Linda back in 2013. I did a webinar with her, and kind of even before I really had a sense for what it was, I did understand what corporate sponsorship was, which is basically, you have the little logos, at the bottom of your event page, and they're basically giving somebody some money, in order for them to put their name in front of people, and that's kind of where I understood it back then. But I think now, um, after having gone, um, there are a lot of processes that you have to kind of understand. But part of it, I think, the event that I went to was to get your arms around what's possible. Most of us, even beyond events, right? And it goes beyond events. We self fund everything, right? And when I say self fund, if we've got to do something, and we've got to get the word out. Typically, our first inclination is, well, where am I going to get the money for Facebook ads, or how am I going to get so and so to push this message out? And the biggest revelation for me, um, um, I don't think was not that you could have people sponsor some of the things you're doing, maybe like a podcast, maybe like an event, maybe like a radio show. I understand that, and I think most people understand that. What I didn't understand was that if you're going to do something like that, one of the things that you can do if you're creative is you actually get people sponsors to help you to advertise. So as opposed to paying for your advertising, you want to bring in media partners. You want to use the media partners as your bridge to get other people to help you to promote what you're doing, so that, let's say that, somebody's going to do, well, okay, we've talked about music before. Let's say that somebody's going to do an educational event, about, a particular genre of music in a city. And what they want to do is they want to have, people who, um, to come in and view this thing. And so they get people to sponsor the event. But they also do is they get radio, television, newspaper, magazine, and get those entities to sort of sponsor getting the word out, and getting the word in front of the people who would actually be willing to come. And then having those people there then means that the sponsors that are part of the event, they actually get what they want. So understanding that that sort of dynamic was probably the biggest revelation to me. And so basically, it's really comes back down to understanding, um, what a demographic is of what a person is doing. So if a person is going to do a conference on health for seniors. Well, obviously they know who they know who's going to be there. They know who they're trying to get there, and so you then start looking at sponsors who want to market to those people. So it's not a gifting, it is not a grant. It is basically finding those people who want to be in front of the people that you're going to have in a space. That space can be online, that space can be in an event, that space can be on a podcast, but it is the job of the person who is doing whatever it is, uh, building their following, building their list. And most of us don't do this. Is making an effort to understand who those people are, um, both in person and on paper, so that you can explain them to somebody. Um, for example, being able to say, the people that come to my show, the people that watch my show are between 40 and 55. They're college educated. They tend to live in this area. They tend to frequent these things. And these are the things they like, because that's then what you then go to, I don't know, craft, and you say, hey, you know what? You've been trying to market this new product that you have to this segment. That happens to be the segment that comes to my podcast. And then you then have, um, not just a stab in the dark, but you have a very good presentation to go to somebody to get them to do something that's in their best interest. So they're not doing charity by trying to
Mhm.
get in front of your audience. They're not getting doing charity. They're genuinely wanting to reach an audience in a way that is going to be unique, in a way where they're going to be a captive audience, in a way that is going to help them to further their brand.
Excuse me. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's like just
Uh,
I don't know.
so so yeah, so that would, I guess that's really the concept, right?
Does that fit? I was thinking towards the beginning, and then at the end, I'm like, maybe this doesn't fit. Maybe this is silly. I'm trying to put it in a way that, not that it wasn't super easy to understand how you present it. That was perfect. But I mean, if someone were to go out and say, try to crowd fund whatever, like a launch that they're doing or something like that, this would be a replacement for the crowdfunding, because instead of going out there and like, hey, you can get this if you pay this much money and so forth, and going to all these individuals to try to kind of basically crowdfunding or kind of sponsoring that launch. Instead, you're going for a major sponsor where you're working with a bigger sponsor, getting stuff done, but also giving them something in return.
Yeah, you're basically talking about, to some degree, content and information. So if you know how to build a group of people who we know are going to be interested in a something. Now, if it comes to um, a product, then the corporate sponsor has to have a vested interest, right? They may or may not be interested in backing a particular product or a particular line of products. They're probably more interested in people that are going to be open to hearing at that point their name. So it's almost got to be, I think, as I understand it, it's probably always typically going to be content oriented, and and they're going to be interested in where how they can kind of flow into it to reach their audience.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you said it's not a gifting. So I was thinking of a friend of mine that runs gifting suites out in LA.
Hmm.
And she does, like invite celebrities. I was supposed to have Gene Simmons as my escort, and it was raining, and so his limo turned around. It's like, bar. I was looking forward to a photo with Gene Simmons without the makeup on. I don't know if people recognize him, but anyway, all of these celebrities come in, and I think you've seen a couple of the pictures that I have on my profile. I should change those because they're only like, I don't know how many years old now, but so the celebrities come in, and then other people, like normal people, are like, oh, I might see this celebrity, so they want to come, and then you get gifting, like little bags,
Hmm.
little gift bags of all these different products, because there's a bunch of different vendors. So a lot of times it's like health and beauty, or some
Yep.
different related. So what you're saying is, it's not like that. It's not like a gifting bag or a gifting suite.
Well, it can be. right? But but and the basis is kind of like it's not going to be um, they're not going to support a product. What they're going to do is they're going to support something where their brand is front and center. So
Okay.
if there's a conflict between a product you're trying to launch and their brand, they may not be interested in that. But if you're talking about um, again bringing something like all the people from Kiss into one location, which is more content, they're interested in that because they know they're going to be a segment of people that are going to be, interested in it. I'm guessing, right? And I think that they're sort of anti this, but let's say that you were able to get the Grateful Dead into one place. They have such a rabid following, and I know that their whole vibe is kind of different because they're sort of anti that. But if you knew you're going to have them in a space, you would probably not have to sell anything. You could probably do an event with them and have that event sponsored because their demographic is so well defined. You could probably pinpoint and say, hey, you know what? These are the people that are going to be in the Grateful Dead. They're going to be all in one place. They're going to be all in my place. Do you want to put a bag together? Do you want to have? Do you want to? Do you want me? Can I put your name on the event? And things like that that you can do creatively to get their brand exposure.
And that's a win-win because I mean, if you happen to know the Grateful Dead, you can convince them to show up and so forth. That's like the hardest part of it.
Correct.
Then whatever brand you have that's complimentary that says, yes, I want to, that's the demographic. Like you said, you don't have to describe the demographic as much because if anyone understands Grateful Dead, they'll understand the demographics. And it's a win-win because you mentioned earlier that then the group that's sponsoring it is the group that's paying for like the media partner. So they're paying for all the advertising. And the advertising is not so much trying to convince someone, it's trying to get the word out so that the Grateful Dead fans come to your event. I mean,
Correct.
it is like this win-win thing that just kind of grows.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I said, the thing that the missing piece for me was understanding the the media and understanding that you want to have people sponsor getting the word out because that really does attract the people that are going to be there, and those partners then will then get what they actually want. You will get what you want, and I guess really then it really is kind of understanding how to structure it so you don't so not only that you're not losing money but that you're making it so that when you, let's say, do an event, or let's say you do a virtual summit, that before the virtual summit starts, theoretically you should already know, you could already know what you're going to make, even if you don't sell a single ticket, even if you don't sell a single registration, even if nobody if the number of people, even if you had to give away the tickets, right? You would know kind of where you're going to stand financially after that. And I know that a lot of people who do events, I've done them before, right? Where I self-funded everything, or I've never done a book tour or anything like that, but I know a lot of people that do a book tour. I'm pretty sure musicians, they do a tour.
Mhm.
They show up and they don't necessarily know if that tour is going to be one that's going to pay them back. Well, one of the ways to organize a tour, a book tour or otherwise, is to construct it so that there are different things like, you know, even down to the equipment. Well, you don't want to get to a city and rent equipment. You want to have that sponsored. You want to have
Mhm.
somebody give that equipment, or the venue, right? Maybe someone can sponsor the venue. Maybe someone can sponsor the radio and the advertising and all of the other things, so that all of these things that would cause the tour or the event to be a money loser would be taken care of before there is a ticket sold, right? And so that's where the real kind of savvy comes in. And obviously, there are people who have been doing this for years, and I guess that's why it was so expensive to go to this thing. But um, but she was very detailed in helping people to understand first conceptually, right? Because my wife is very detailed, and she sort of understands like the nuts and bolts. I can't even get into the nuts and bolts until I could get my arms around what was happening conceptually. Because
Mhm.
I've heard Linda Hollinger talk about this, and it was too much, right? It was just too many moving parts. I couldn't get my hands around it, and I couldn't understand. Well, I still got to get people to this thing, right? Let's say I get all these people, I get it sponsored, I still got to get people to this thing. Well, like I said, the missing point for me was, well, getting people to the thing, really, we should be using all of that very expensive traditional media, radio, television, and again, nothing against Facebook ads and Google ads and all those other things, but we know that television, radio, and newspaper, it still works. It's just so
Yep.
expensive, it's cost prohibitive, and so people have said, okay, well, no, we don't want to do that stuff. We're going to do all the online stuff because it's effective and it's not as expensive as the other stuff. Well, the other stuff can still be had, but it's got to be, it can be acquired differently.
Right, right. I was thinking, I think it was last session where I talked about learning from Kristen Joy. Again, she's not paying me. Okay, technically I'm an affiliate, but I don't even know what my affiliate link is, so there's nothing about what I'm saying that benefits me in that way. Anyway, Kristen Joy was teaching about novels. I think I said she said, hey, you can get the word out by even before you've published it by having, for instance, I think I mentioned a recipe book. Again,
Right.
this is not my idea. This is something that Kristen Joy shared that I thought was really
Yeah.
interesting. That if you have a character and it's like, their 10 favorite Christmas recipes or whatever, and then you put that out and as a free lead magnet. But as you were saying this, I thought, I wonder if you were doing a book tour for whatever book that was. I mean, I'm not talking about the recipe book. I'm talking about the actual novel or whatever it is. You're doing a book tour. Maybe you could get, I think this popped in my head because I just had to go get some baking ingredients for my daughter.
Yeah.
Crisco. I was thinking,
Yeah.
I thought, go contact Crisco and say, hey, you show up in every single one of these 10 recipes, and we will feature these recipes as a part of featuring the book.
That's
If you don't
right.
mind being a sponsor for
That's
this
right.
book tour.
No, that's right. Or the cookware, or the aprons, or
Yeah.
any of the things that people are going to be into while they're experiencing the event, right? As long as the demographic of the people who are going to be buying the stuff would be there. So if and that would probably be true, right? So if you could find like this intersection between the people that buy Crisco and people that read these books, and they're going to be at this thing, then that's going to be then ideal.
Wow, you got me thinking, Charles. You got me.
Well, yeah, like I
Oh,
said, it was really I have the book here. So this is how thick the thing was,
wow.
right?
Is that
So
spiral?
uh yeah, it's spiral.
That's good. This is easier to
Um
read.
yeah, yeah. And so it was a lot. It was a lot. And one of the things I think I appreciated about this was I've been to a number of conferences. I know you have too. Um and I'm not being a prude about this, but uh this conference did not have the obligatory uh day where everybody goes out and gets drunk and comes hungover the next day into the session. And so, like it's just a minor thing. But um I told my wife, I said I appreciated that because it's always a downer to me. I know for some people they look forward to that because that's sort of networking for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't network that way, right? I can't network that way anymore. So
Oh man, let's see if we get drunk until we throw up, and then
yeah, and then nobody comes to the first session the next day, and it's always a little depressing to me. But that didn't take place, and I
I can
think
think
that
of a few conferences that I I didn't do it. I'm just saying I can. Yeah, so yeah.
yeah, so it was just that was another kind of something that I just kind of really appreciated. And the other thing too is that there were case studies and there were people, but this was really Linda Hollander's event, and Linda Hollander knows her stuff, right? And so she can sort of recount and ask and answer questions, without notes, without looking around, without trying to calculate. Well, I'll get back to you. If you ask her a question, it doesn't matter
She
how
just.
weird or out there. Yeah, it can. I mean, naturally, people come to these things. Everybody's in a different headspace, right? And so some of the questions are just out there, and she's able to answer all of them. And so
That's impressive.
it was very impressive, and I guess it gave the people who were there confidence in, okay, you know what, if I really sort of get this right, and if we really kind of understand what it is that we're trying to do, we can really do something significant.
That's awesome. And that actually gives hope, not just hope like the, well, hey, buy this and then get rich and, all the classic emails that we see. And it's like, maybe there's some hope in there, but it's not like you're going to become wealthy in the next day. I do have a question for you though. Where can people, okay, like what's the website? And I'll try to, put it on the video so people can see that and
Yeah.
also in the description. And are these always held in Los Angeles?
I don't know when she's doing the next one. I'm guessing it's going to be there in Los Angeles. And I think her website is called Wealthy Bag Lady.
Oh, that's right. Wealthy bag. I couldn't remember. I'm like, I don't want to insult you and call you bag lady. I told you I keep thinking of
She
Mary
calls
Poppins and
herself
the
that, right? Yeah.
wealthybaglady.com. Okay. And so probably the rates and everything. Do you want to share kind of the range of the rate? I mean, I realize that
Oh,
this
sure.
this
Yeah.
video it might change later, whatever, check her website for the real
Yeah.
rate.
Now, I know that last year I think the conference was 497. This year was 997. And
Wow.
yeah, it was.
For an
And
increase.
yeah, yeah. But as I said, it was really you can go to some of these things and you can kind of feel like, man, you know what? There's so much more I could have done with that money, right?
Hmm.
And I think that on a personal level, it was just good for me to go to this thing with Laurel because um, I will be accountable for trying to do something with it. And the other thing is I just couldn't do it by myself anyway. The other thing is that even for 997, it was worth every penny because uh, she is investing personally in saying to you, well, hey, when you get ready to actually call a sponsor, you call me.
Wow. Okay. So she's kind of, it's like she's offering some mentorship a little bit there and as a part of that. That's worth that $500. I can't talk. That $500 increase.
Yeah. Now she will do it. She has a service where she will do it for you for a lot of money, right? A lot
Oh,
of
that's
money.
tempting. If you win the lottery, there we go. You know where you're spending your money.
But if I had it, I'd give it to her.
Yeah.
And I don't think, but the conference was not one long sales pitch. So it wasn't designed to sell this, even
That's
though it
good.
sold me, right? I mean,
That's good.
if I had it in my pocket, I would have given it to her.
But see, if it were a whole weekend or whatever, it's not weekend, whatever it was, whole conference of sales pitch, I wouldn't have as much respect for the woman.
Right, right,
So
definitely.
that's good. That's good. Wow. Okay. So for all of you listening, your action step is to visit wealthybaglady.com. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Wealthybaglady.com and check it out because it really sounds like this lady knows her stuff. And I feel
Yes.
like I want to go to the next conference. So after this, I'm going to go log in and check out her event calendar and see what's
I
up.
highly advise. Yeah, highly advise it. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Charles, for sharing about the conference. That sounds really exciting. And yeah, I'm definitely interested. You sold me, and I don't think you're even trying to sell, but you sold me. So I want that.
All right.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All
And
right.
thanks
Thanks.
all for tuning in to Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. And we'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye, Deb.